Level up your hunting game and join the cause. Help preserve small-town Texas hunting culture and become a more successful hunter by learning the best ways to squeeze the most out of your budget and precious time out in the field. Welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Here are your resident bandits, Richard Kinchlow and Jimmy Byrne. Oh yeah, so it's been 15 years now of deer hunting.
God. Wow.
You know, it's funny when I hung it up. Jeb goes, "Who's that guy?" And he wasn't pointing at you. I go,
that's
"Who
great.
do you think that is?" He's like, "I don't know. I have no idea." I was like, "That's me."
Thanks,
said,
dude.
"That's not you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah. I know.
funny.
I'm probably 50 pounds lighter, and I didn't have any facial hair. So it's...
Right. God, that's so funny. Well, it's been 15 great years, no doubt about it.
But I think this is what we were just talking about is not a bad segue into our next or to the episode we want to record now.
Oh, for sure.
I think. So welcome folks to the next episode of the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, joined by the Corn Bandit himself.
Yes,
Ricardo.
sir. Howdy, folks.
Welcome back. Welcome to 2022.
Yeah,
Again,
good to be back. There's no doubt about it. So, yep,
It's January. It
is.
I guess for most places, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's not most. I probably is most places. Deer hunting's over. You know, although other people, lucky folks with MLD land and stuff, can still shoot.
Yeah. God, I know a lot of antlers are already falling off in some states. But those are the states also that, they start hitting the rut in late October and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
I wonder what percentage of land, hunting land or ranches and hunting land in Texas is MLD versus not.
Oh,
I'm sure they have, obviously. Since you're with the state, they know how many acres they do. So I'd be curious to know what that total acreage is versus the overall acreage.
It's a really good question. I bet you could go on to the TPNW /MLDP / we want to join this program so we can kill a bunch of deer all the time / yeah.
I don't know. It just popped in my head. Otherwise, I might have researched it ahead of time. But
no, of course. No, well, that's how we do things here. Yeah, that's how we do things here. We're just kind of by the seat of our trousers.
Oh yeah,
great from the hip, by the way. Yeah, no, for sure. Well, yeah, let's talk about let's talk about a big old stinky fudge dragon of a year as far as the fall 2021 hunting season was, at least on the Bandito. It was kind of rough. It was kind of rough. But of course, I say this, I preface this by saying, we're talking about this because it's kind of an educational thing, and kind of getting my thoughts about it, because I have had a lot of interesting, okay, so why did this exactly happen? And some of the stuff I can understand. Okay, well, it happened because of this, but there's some stuff I just don't understand. Why weren't the ducks here when I thought they were going to be there? Things of that nature. So, but again, a bad time in the field, quote unquote, is a lot better than a great day here in this concrete jungle that we live in. So, please don't feel that what I'm about to say is because I'm just an ungrateful snob. I am. I really am when it comes to dove hunting, and everybody knows this. And I freely admit I've got a problem, and I want to shoot those little bastards, and I can't do it all the time because they fly my way and they're not in the area. But that's another story.
Well, and don't forget, I escaped from the concrete jungle.
Yes, you did.
So you can't say we. We
true.
As in you and I, at least.
It's true. No, I was saying we as in French. Dude.
I like the royal we.
Yeah. I say the French. So
yes.
Yeah.
You can always get out of the concrete jungle yourself.
Yeah, well, that is not going to work that way. You got to get the girls to college, and then, I mean, once the girls go to college, I may drop the English language altogether. I don't know. We will definitely see. Yeah.
Well, I expect it actually.
Oh, absolutely. Hit down with the what new and you just have to kind of guess what I'm saying. So
yes.
All right, well, let's jump into it. We're going to start with the ducks because honestly, they're the most recent species that would piss me off. God, you know, going back to summer 2021, I mean, it was wet. I mean, it was so freaking wet. I mean, I'm around the 4th of July, we got a foot and a half of rain, something of that nature. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. And then going into July, got some, into August, we got some great rain. I mean, it was just wet. So I think we talked about it actually on this thing that, heading into August, we're like, well, crap, it's the double-edged sword. Having all the rain is great, but if you're a tank hunter for dove like we are, it's a big problem. But I probably made a comment that, okay, hey, this isn't too bad because of the ducks. The ducks are big into, the ducks are obviously have to have water. So the more tanks we got that are full, or at least halfway full, the better my duck hunting is going to be. Wrong. Man, oh man. So, starting in about October is really when we got our last piece of rain. Okay, but that was okay, right? Because the tanks were okay. They weren't okay, they were great. They were very, very full. Fast forward to now, mid-January, kind of latest January, it hasn't rained. We've had one measurable event of rain since October. Okay. That is how crazy the rain has been. So, of course, a lot of these tanks are drying up, which is not helping the fact that the ducks just did not come this year. I mean, they came, right? They definitely came. But did I hunt any less this year compared to last year? Yeah, maybe a couple of mornings, right? But I just did not. I'll average 30 ducks a season. This year, I got 18. I believe it was 18. And let me tell you, that was me hunting a lot. And that was me sitting there a hell of a lot longer than I normally do. And that was me just kind of sitting there frustrated going, God, what is going on? And a couple of things I will contribute it to. First of all, we obviously had a couple of big Arctic blasts, which, we've all felt, and I played those pretty damn well, in my opinion. I mean, there were several times where I was there several days before. I was there one day before the Arctic blast hit. I was there after. And the birds just weren't there. I don't know if because of the Arctic front, they just kept going. They said, oh, hell no, we ain't stopping there. It's 20 degrees down there. We're just kept going. Or exactly what it was, because I mentioned the whole point about the water level being so low, and then not only in my county, but in really almost all of Texas, a lot of tanks dried up. So if you had water, it really should be holding birds, holding ducks. In a normal year, that's what you would get. But again, we have these Arctic fronts and they just passed us up, or they just weren't there. So just very, very bizarre, very, very weird. The other thing I will make a comment about is the Delta waterfowl, who I follow. They're very similar to a Ducks Unlimited. They had made the comment that, the prairie pothole region, which is like Saskatchewan, North Dakota, South Dakota, places like that were very dry. Okay. Very, very dry. So the nesting habitat for ducks was horrible, absolutely horrible. So they didn't have a very great hatch. And there were actually some rumors about them cutting down on the limits, going from 6 birds, maybe back down to 4, because of all this. But they said that because of this poor hatch, you're not going to have a lot of juveniles. You're going to have a lot of adult birds that are going to be coming down that are a little gun shy. Now, I'm thinking to myself, oh, a freaking duck. Okay. And I just made the damn trip from Canada. Am I really going to remember everything that happened last year? Or am I just going to remember the fact that I almost got hit by an M80? en route into Texas or to Mexico. I mean, I'm not trashing ducks. I know they're very, very intelligent, animals. They really are, but I just don't know how trained they get. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, I have to interview.
Or you mean their long-term memory?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this problem really just kind of plagued me the entire year. I mean, to include this past Saturday, when this past Saturday, if you were in Texas, when the wind was blowing, was gusting to like 60. It was so bad that my duck blind kept blowing onto me. And the ducks that I was trying to decoy me, they're like, dude, we can't even land here. It was so damn windy. They had to land out in the middle of the tank and then let the wind blow them to where they wanted to go. I've never had that happen. It's like the entire season I pray for wind, and all of a sudden I get a mini tornado. And it was terrible.
Be careful what you wish for.
Exactly. So, I think other places were saying that, the ducks weren't as good. I haven't really heard much from the coast either. The coast had a really big lack of redhead issues, which redheads are big on the coast. Yeah. Okay. With that being said, holy God, I completely forgot about this. Rancho Bandito. Okay. Rancho Bandito, typically by late November, say around Thanksgiving, we do have a pretty healthy migration of diver ducks. Okay. So in particular, redheads, ringnecks, canvasbacks, I kid you not. I maybe saw 2 or 3 groups of said species this entire year. And that includes when I was just down there. When I was just down there this past weekend, it was all puddle ducks, gadwalls, widgeons, mallards, teal, all that kind of stuff. I don't know where all the divers went. And it is unbelievable. And now that I think about it, that really comprises some of my bag limit. No offense to the ringnecks, but they're pretty ring stupid. And they will decoy pretty easily. They're gorgeous ducks. But they'll decoy pretty damn easily. And so now I'm really thinking about it. I didn't shoot a single diver this year. Interesting. Why didn't the diver ducks show up like they normally do? That's another question.
Huh.
I'm not even gonna touch the dove hunting because I think I already beat that dead horse, and I'll continue to beat that dead horse. One thing I will say, a lesson that I did learn in late October. I was doing a dove hunt at a sunflower field on Bandito that came up naturally. Okay, so it was all, I don't know, probably 10, 15 acres, something like that, of natural sunflower, and thick too, very, very, very thick. And of course, we got in there and we shredded it. It looks like the top of a pie. Okay, all that kind of stuff, right? But we did not have a lot of birds in there. Okay, I actually went there. That's where I test out my new little shot camera, which is a hell of a lot of fun, I will say. But didn't have the volume of birds that we should have in there. And while I was going to retrieve a bird, it literally kind of hit me, and I wanted to bring it up because it's a real important little tip here, and it's something that I've kind of already ingrained in my memory, so that if I see it happen next year, we can take care of it. You got to remember, a dove is pretty damn small. Okay, all right, now they're no little chickadee or anything like that, but they're still pretty small. A sunflower seed, a native sunflower seed, is incredibly small. Okay, I mean, we're talking, it's the size, it's smaller than a piece of pencil lead. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a mechanical pencil lead. Okay, you know how you used little pieces to break off and really piss you off?
Oh yeah.
That's kind of what a native sunflower seed, as far as the diameter and the length, kind of looks like. Just a small little piece of that. Okay, now imagine trying to find that in a whole buttload of grass and a whole buttload of weeds, right? So even though you've got the dead sunflowers, okay, and they've shed their seeds, well, guess what? Those seeds are protected from the predator, aka the dove. Why? Because the little dove can't get his little chubby butt in there to try to retrieve the seeds because the weeds and grass are too tall. So, of course, I'm sitting there like going on to Amazon. I'm like, a hell of a lot of Roundup. Click, and they're like, it's too late,
Uh-huh.
So one of the things that I am going to look at doing, not me, I'm going to have our buddies at Rancho Bandito help me do, is that if we get into the situation where we've got a big sunflower field coming up, we've either got to burn it to burn off all those weeds, okay, which I've done, of course, way too much research on it, or actually apply some chemical to knock down those weeds so the birds can find the sunflowers. And then don't do a pie crust cut on your field unless you're going to have 10, 15 guys out there every single time, you know? So that was really just kind of a wake-up call for me. I mean, here I am talking to everybody, you know, like we do, thinking that, you know, and then I've done it my whole life, so I know a little something about it, but it just proves to you that you learn something new every single time. And this was a big one. This was a really big one. I brought my dad out there because he was kind of having a hard time kind of understand what I was saying. He's like, oh my God, it totally makes sense now. Totally makes sense. So that's the dove piece of it.
Well, that could be your breakthrough.
It really could be. Now, as far as deer hunting is concerned, you did great on your one trip to Bandito.
Yep, I did. Well, the first one you helped me with. You put me on that 6 point.
That's right.
And sure enough, he showed up.
First time I mean, dude, and you know how when you do that, it never works that way.
Right. Know? Yeah. I mean, it's a crapshoot a lot of times, but yeah, I mean, he came in, and you know, from the time that I saw him to the time that he was dead was about 30 seconds, 20 seconds, maybe.
Don't hesitate.
Yeah. So yeah, and got a couple other doe. So that was a successful weekend.
Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. So the Rancho Bandito is kind of split up on campus and off campus. And on campus, we call it that because it's high fence, okay, and it's still a pretty large piece of property that's high fence. But we, through the managed land deer permits of the state of Texas, we have got X amount of tags that we've got to shoot, both on and off campus, as we like to put it. This year, we had to shoot. This year, I think we had to shoot 20 does on campus and 10 bucks on campus. Okay, which, normally we'll make a pretty good chunk into that, but it's a bit of a struggle. Off campus, it's something ridiculous, like 75 does and 30 bucks or something of that nature. Okay, so I'll take back the negativity when it comes to the deer hunting. When it came to hunting the deer on campus, we did extremely well. And Jimmy, I hadn't even told you this, but we're kind of done now. And when it was when the dust and the blood cleared, we only lacked 2 bucks and 2 does on the head course.
Wow, nice.
which is pretty damn good. Now off campus, not so much. Off campus, I think we killed like 5 bucks and like 10 does. So it just didn't pan out,
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you that going back to kind of the whole feeding strategy and protein strategy, let's talk a little bit about that. And then we weren't the only ones throughout the state. A lot of us rely on food plots, wheat fields, things of that nature to attract the deer. And the ranchers, of course, do it to feed their stock. And there was a lot of wheat fields excuse me, that were planted that never came up because they just never got any rain. And it sucks, but they're still out there. You can go out there, you can see them. They're tilled up, they're ready to rock and roll, but they hadn't any rain. So it's actually going to be very, very interesting to see what happens if we can break this damn pattern that we're in and get some rain. And that wheat starts to come up in the spring. It could be something serious for dove hunting. It really could be, and kind of change the way people approach their areas with all of a sudden you've got a wheat crop, that's come and headed out in the summer and then maybe left over in the September. We will see. But because of the drought, okay, and the lack of wheat coming up and the lack of natural browse, the feeder activity was pretty damn good. In fact, it was really, really good. We just didn't see. Of course, we always had the does, and that was great. We just didn't see a lot, at least off campus, a lot of really good, mature to semi-mature management deer to take. So, it's kind of, what is that? Is that a bad thing or is that a good thing?
Right.
Yeah, you've got a lot of mouths to take care of, but if you're starting to see a bunch of young, really nice deer, that's kind of mission accomplished,
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of one way that we've kind of been looking at the lack of harvesting, if you will, off campus this year, is that we just had some really interesting, some really, really nice animals, to include some very unique guys. I got a picture of the guy in the summer that, he looked like a mesquite tree. He had stuff coming out everywhere, and it's just crazy. And of course, those guys typically, since their antlers are kind of everywhere and they're not symmetrical, when they go to fighting, they lose a lot of it. And this guy looked like they had somebody that's taken his rack off and thrown it in front of a truck. It was all broke up. And I'll actually send you the picture, Jimmy. He was all broke up and just kind of looked like hell. But still just a really cool animal.
Wow. Yeah, I like to see that. We could maybe if it's a decent picture, put it on the podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, it's a really good picture. Dad took it with one of his new fancy cameras, which is it's a really cool thing. So, but yeah, no, and so now, okay. So what I was kind of getting at, where this again with the drought coming, okay, in the post rut, and we had some pretty big cold snaps. As far as talking about deer management is concerned, and protein, and when do you start that? Traditionally, if you listen to us when we talk about this, we start our protein when January 1st, right? We're on January 1st through August 1st, and then we stop it. This year, 2021 to 2022, was a little bit different. We made the decision to start filling up our protein feeders in mid-December this year. And we did that because of the lack of rain, the lack of natural forage that was out there. Because again, remember when these bucks, they're out there running like crazy, okay, and especially the older ones, they wear themselves down. And without a lot of their natural food available to them, and don't get me wrong, it's not like they're starving, okay, but without a lot of their natural food available to them, and again, corn doesn't fit the bill. What did we start doing? We started feeding protein. And we started feeding a lot earlier, and it was actually extremely beneficial because we found that, about after a week after we filled up those feeders, it was amazing. Those bucks would just show up out of nowhere. And Jimmy, we literally have 4 or 5 of them just peer out of the bush, go straight to the protein, eat on it for 15 minutes, then go right back in the bushes, never even touch the corn. So that tells me that we really made the right move and getting them going. Now, some people will ask, well, wait a minute, they're about to drop their antlers. What are you doing? Well, again, that crew protein, everything a deer ingests, remember, it goes to its body first, then it goes to his antlers. So, if I'm a deer manager and I want to get big deer, going, and the fact that we haven't had a lot of natural forage for them, I'm going to go ahead and let's try to get their body weight back up. So when they do drop their antlers and they're starting to grow again, which are always growing, remember, they're just like fine fingernails. Our fingernails don't fall off just in the middle of the night. Thank God. But we get their body weights going. We get them back healthy again. They've regained a lot of that weight that they lost. So when they do start growing their antlers, they can put some more of that resources to the antlers as opposed to their, putting on more weight and whatnot.
That's actually a good idea. Yeah, you get ahead of it, basically.
Yep. Yeah. So that was kind of the decision we made, and we'll see. I tell you what, the other animals sure as hell loved it too. I didn't tell you this, Jimmy, but the axis have started hitting all the feeders now. It's crazy.
Nice.
So it's like literally Noah's Ark just kind of opened up. You got turkeys, you got axis and black buck. So yeah, it's made for some quite entertaining sits.
Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, it's about time the axes start showing up, and at least you can see them. Like, I mean, you can see them when you're driving around, but at least to see them while you're sitting in a blind.
Agreed. Absolutely. Dude.
I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah. Oh God. Don't.
But it's like amplified kind of being down here now because
yeah.
Have you seen? I mean, shit. I sent you that picture. Remember, I saw that one young Axis book on the side of the highway right outside.
Have you seen any more?
House? Like dead on the road, or just period? No, I've seen no roadkill any other than that one, but you can see them behind some high fences here. Those and other exotics and stuff. So it's
lucky.
Cool. Yeah,
that's so awesome.
Yeah,
only high fences we have here in Dallas are jails. And I don't think I'd want to eat. I don't want to eat any of the inhabitants there.
You don't want anything out of loose stairs or anything.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So yeah, I guess the kind of final thought, leading into 2022, starting off pretty rough. Obviously, with the lack of rain, this is, I think, I think the entire state is in a drought. Some have already kind of gone from moderate to severe. I think we're still in the moderate, but that's probably not going to last too much longer because we're really close. I think we're on the borderline. So it just is what it is, and there's nothing you can do about it. But except, of course, pray for rain. I will tell you, you know what? Actually, we're going to hold that for the next episode because there are certain things you can do that that you can take advantage of when you don't have any rain. So we'll maybe we can talk about that next time.
Okay, sounds good.
Yep.
So how many deer did you end up getting this year?
I only shot one. Well, and of course I'm going out this weekend, but that's not on ranch.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I only shot one. Actually, you know what? We'll talk about that really quickly because, you know what? No, we'll save that because that's another good story. Tips. Again, been deer hunting my entire life, killed a bunch of deer in my time, never had this happen to me, and we'll share it on the next one. But well, you know what? And Jimmy, I'll tell you, of course, it was very similar to the first deer that I shot with you. Eerily similar. Oh, so frustrating. I don't know if you remember that. We'll talk off air.
No, I do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Eerily similar. I'm like, are you kidding me, dude? But this one was a lot worse. So
worse. Okay.
Yeah, worse.
I'm not sure how it could be worse, but
I'll tell you. You know what? And I'm not going to tell you. We'll save it for the next one. How about that?
Okay, yeah, save that for the next one.
That's good one.
We could do an episode on when things don't go according to plan.
That's right. When the theater goes off at 4:19, not 4 o'clock.
And I can tell my story of when I was guiding Fanning, and we'll save that one too.
Yeah. Oh, hey, speaking of, he came down that weekend you were there. Everybody's so freaking busy, and the unicorn virus and everything else. And he had shot that doe. It was phenomenal, great shot. We had a great time. Well, remember we got it cleaned, and the next morning was Sunday. Everybody goes home, right? Well, remember that was like mid-November. I'm in the black truck. Okay. About to go out, and I'm like, that's interesting. Whose bag and gun is this? That's been on the floor of the truck forever. It's covered in dirt. It's been stepped on. I'm like, dude, scare me up. He's like, oh no, is that me? I'm like, I don't know, dude. Who else has an arsenal backpack? Right. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, well, that's what happens when you're 72. You just don't remember.
You forget things. That's
yeah.
Oh man,
guy. All I can say is guy.
Piece of work.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The Under Armour is choking out the oxygen.
Yeah, I was gonna say Under Armour's like, listen, we're not gonna keep sponsoring you. Keep doing dumb things.
Yeah. All right.
Yep.
Oh, geez, yep. That's funny. Oh, all right. Well, you got anything else on this one?
Man, that's it. We got lots to talk about this year. It's gonna be a good year. It's gonna be a fun year. We're gonna do a lot of good stuff. So
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Well, I will mention I did get to go hunting really one other time at the JV3 in up there in Fisher, and I saw some doe, but I was holding off for a possible trophy, which I never really care to go. I mean, it'd be cool to go for and get a good trophy, but I don't mind shooting as we've talked about. Any management deer and stuff, and I could have shot a doe. But I was like, I have
a lot of work.
Well, I have the 3 deer, from Bandito, so I got meat.
Yeah.
I'm like, maybe I'll just kind of hold off, and and if I wanted a deer, I was like, well, I should have shot one. But no, it turned out that it actually became actually was fun because of the coyotes that came through. Because it's sitting there, and I'm like, why are these doe come in and they eat for a little bit, but then they just, they're always like weary, and I'm like, what is going on? And then, sure enough, they run off, and I'm like, well, son of a, and I still have time in the blind. So I'm like, should I drive around or should I sit here? I was like, well, maybe a buck will come, because a lot of times doe will disappear and a buck comes in 20 minutes later or something.
Yep.
I'll wait here. And I look up and I'm like, nope, that's why this huge coyote comes running in, and he's like looking at me in the blind, and I'm like, oh, okay. Well, of course, I'm looking at him, not moving my head, but I'm actually doing the motion though. You know how you like reach for your gun and come over to you as you're staring at him.
Oh yeah.
I put it up there, boom, I've nailed him. Great picture. I'm gonna put this on the podcast for that perfect bullet hole right through the head, like through the brain, bullet. Yeah. On that one guy. And then the same dang thing happened to me the next morning, or that was in the evening. Then in the morning, the same thing happened to me. Doe come in. I'm like, well, I got all day, got nothing else to do. I'm out here by myself. So I'll just sit here, wait for a buck. And like an hour later, and they kind of do the same thing. And I'm like, surely, it's not a coyote again. And I'm sitting there about an hour later, and sure enough, this coyote comes running through. I'm like, son of a.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because they're everywhere out there. It's so so dang loud. How loud?
What we need to do. Well, of course, God. If we had the bandwidth, we'd go out there and do a big predator hunt.
Yes, we did take like the night vision stuff and like the
heat. My God,
the heat-seeking missiles and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But I mean, this guy was a little more skeptical of me, and he was a bigger coyote than the other one.
Yeah.
So I mean, right as I started reaching for my gun, he started quartering away and like walking, starting to trot back in there, and I pulled up really fast, and I didn't really aim that much. I just kind of aimed like put his body essentially on the crosshairs, fur in the crosshairs, pull the trigger. And I look up from my scope, and he's just laying there, and and I see like red, and it's probably a 75-yard shot, both shots with my 30-06.
Oh, not bad.
So I figured at that point, and I was like, okay, I'll go get lunch, drive into town and get lunch or something. So I immediately got down and walked over to him, and that was the other picture of let's see, that was the picture where I essentially shot him through the ass and blew out the side of his side. So I was like, man,
that's the bullet, man. You do it.
Well, I got 2 things that weekend, no deer, but
I mean, literally, you did such a great thing. I mean, they are rampant places, All right, and so next, what could you have done? So for a less experienced hunter, when that coyote's run away from you, you pulled your gun. He's on a trot. I know. It was probably loping. What could you have done next time? Like if you're a new hunter, what should you have done in that instance?
I could have either like yelled or said, "Hey," or
"Hey,"
make them stop.
Oh, if you say "Hey," they'll take one lope and they'll look right back at
you. Boom.
I have killed. I mean, I keep going back to Throckmorton, but in Throckmorton, I've killed more coyotes. I mean, they are on like 90 miles an hour. Like, they're gone. Hey, and they just hit the dirt. It's every time, boom, dead. Oh, it's great. I love it. Yeah, that one I decapitated. I decapitated one with a line eye at power line. It was his first animal he's ever seen shot. And I don't know what scared Illini more, me yelling "Hey" when we've been so quiet, or the recoil from my 308 separated his head. Yeah. But he was like, "Boy, that was intense." I'll go have another Bud Light Lime.
Calm the nerves. Yeah.
We love you, Illini. We love you, buddy. Yeah.
We do need to do a predator hunt out there, because I'm telling you,
I'd love to.
At night, both the evening hunts that I had, and I was because I waited till the bitter end, even after shooting that first coyote. I was like, I don't know, I had some time, so I was like, maybe, but the other kind of nights, I was like, I stayed, and it got really dark, right? And you know how dark it gets out there.
Oh, woo! Yeah.
And like 10 minutes before, this is after sundown, but like 5 minutes right before it's like pitch black, that type of thing. I mean, these coyotes, they just, holy Jesus, there had to have been 100 of them. And they were not far. And I'm out there by myself, so let's
time to get a move on.
Yeah, but we could get out there and with some equipment and oh my God, obliterate them.
That would be.
Even without that, before it gets too hot, we could all sit in the blinds and
that's a very good
point. Take our predator calls, and I guarantee
that very interesting thought. All right, well, let's noodle on that. Maybe we can make something like that happen. Interesting.
It'd be fun.
All right, sir.
All right. Well, that's all I have.
Yep. Ditto.
All right, well, it too. All right. Well, keep on shooting the predators, I guess, now, and the hogs. If you're not in MLD land for the deer, even if you are shooting.
Absolutely.
And then we're getting up to, I guess, turkey season eventually.
Yep. It'll be here shortly. So let's hope we get some rain. That's what we all need. The whole state needs it. Except for maybe Houston, of course. But other than that, everybody else needs rain.
There you go.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, hope you enjoyed this one, our little banter on this one, and stick around for the next one. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care. Thanks for listening to the Feed Bandit Podcast. If you like what we discuss on the show, be sure to sign up to our email list to get even more killer hunting ideas, tips, tricks, and exclusive deals on innovative hunting gear and services delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up over at feedbandit.com or simply by texting the word bandit to 33777. See you on the next one, and remember, support your local feed store.